So about 2 or 3 years ago, I started doing a shop tour of my shop, and it's mostly for myself because I felt like I wasn't getting things done in the shop, and then I wanted to see what kind of progress I was making. So now I'm doing these every year, and this is the shop tour for 2021. And we'll start where I always do, which is right in the corner of the garage. We'll start with my bandsaw, and this is the Rikon 10-inch bench top, and this is the deluxe version. The stand it's on was left over from a different thing, so it still has yet to have a proper base made for it, but it's a good bandsaw and I do like it. This is my paint cabinet, which it looks like it's overflowing because it is, but that is a little neater than last year's tour. And last year I did not show what the inside of it looked like, and this is what the inside looks like, and now you might understand why some of it's on the floor. But anyway, this is where I keep my stains and all of those other wonderful things. And, well, yeah, some others that are improperly labeled, I understand. There's my hollow chisel mortiser, which still has not been used any more than it was last year when I did this tour, but we'll get to it eventually. Down here I have my little collapsing table, and I use that thing all the time. I pull it out and expand it and then drill a couple boards to the top of it, and it makes a great little work table right here in the driveway. The miter station really hasn't changed any at all over the last year. Still have the same thing for hardware and the same lumber racks that I've had, and those are working fine, so no need to change. I did get rid of the old shop vac and got a new one. I also bought a Dust Deputy from Home Depot, and this whole configuration hasn't really worked for the miter saw station as much as I wanted it to, so I'm probably going to go with a bigger dust collector for this side of the shop. And the rest of this has not changed either. All of this garbage was under here, and I still haven't managed to get to it, but maybe this year. And also on this side, this was here in last year's tour, and that was the 6-inch spiral head jointer. This is a Shop Fox, and I love this thing. It might be nicer if it was an 8-inch, but so far it hasn't really made much of a difference for me, and it is very nice to use. This isn't terribly excited as some people, and it looks a little janky, but my dust collection is better, and I've got dust collection going to the table saw, and I'll get to the table saw in a bit, and to the jointer, and then something for my assembly table, which I'll get to in a bit too. And down here, this has not changed either from last year. So the rigid oscillating belt sander is very nice to have, and I've used it a fair amount, but I'm hoping to get more miles on it this year. The jet planer is also a spiral head, and it got a lot of use in building a project I'll show you in just a minute. So that thing is amazing. It just does such a good job, and I very much enjoyed it. This has not changed at all. The Kreg jig and clamp rack that desperately needs an overhaul, and the dartboard that doesn't get enough use. This area has not changed much either. There might be a couple more tool holders. I think the chisel rack up there and maybe one of the drill indexes, maybe two of them are new, but this was in last year's tour, but I hadn't had it for very long, and now I've had it all year, and it's just been great to use. So very nice workstation to have, essentially. And this was the project that I was talking about with the jet planer that got a lot of use. Lots of planing and jointing getting this monstrosity built. This is based on the Jay Bates design, which I highly recommend. You watch his videos and pay for his plans and put it to use. This thing's a beast, and if you ever wonder whether or not you should put casters on your workbench, yes, first thing. I've already moved this 3 times to use it for different projects, and it is a dream to have on these casters. You just pop it up, move it, it's no big deal. I plan on putting a lot of work into this, and I'm really happy to have it now. So this also took probably 3 to 4 months for me to build, just because of getting materials and having the time. So I'm glad it's here. This hasn't changed. The drop table, which still gets use, and wood storage and miscellaneous camping garbage, all of that. And this, in the last video, this had fallen apart. So this is the pallet, or I'm sorry, the sheet goods storage rack number 2. I made it probably a little too big, actually. I don't know that I would fill that up with as much material as it could take. But this version is working better, and it works just fine for me. So this was a big change in the shop, probably the biggest change in the shop. I used to have a full 8-foot sheet assembly table here, and I said I was going to cut it down, and the whole purpose for that was to cut it down and make space for the traditional hand tool workbench, and that's what I did. So this table is new this year, and just in the last month or so, I've added this big, really nice big drawer to it, and that is going to quickly collect lots of things, I'm sure. I think that air compressor might be new. It's one of the quiet ones from Harbor Freight, and it's way better than the old one that I had. It's much quieter. But this was kind of an unintended consequence. I did not expect to make a little storage shelf when I had to build up the sides for the slides for the drawer. Got this nice, neat little storage bench for glue brushes and glue and those kind of things. So that was kind of a happy accident. And then over here, this is also just recent in the last month or so, and that is my over the table dust collection. And my dust collection is better now than it was last year. I didn't even have it hooked up, so it's nice to have it going on. I wish I could get more power out of it, and that might be due to leaks in the system, and I'll probably put some more time into it this year. My table saw was in the video for last year too. And then it might be hard for everybody else to tell, but this, my wood storage over here in my wood rack was just out of control. And a couple of weeks ago, I just completely gutted it. It was amazing how much came out of those shelves over there and this wood rack, the cutoff rack. That's what I was looking for. And then, of course, my drill press, my favorite Craigslist find, and the Harbor Freight dust collector that has been changed. And I just vent it to the outdoors because my neighbors don't care. The other big thing that happened was last year I had the panel, but I hadn't really done anything with it that last year. So this year I was able to get all of the electrical done. Don't make fun of my conduit bends. They work, they're functional. So I was able to run power all along this wall. And yes, I've used almost all of them at this point. And I was also able to add power all along this wall, which was, there was no power on this wall. That outlet there, and then on the bench behind the miter saw, and then behind the oscillating belt sander over there. All that power was not available. So it's very nice to have that now. So that is it. That is the 2021 shop tour.